Hi, we're the Jackalopes of Fire, and on this episode, we're going to talk about why we're pissed off at Marvel Comics. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. Welcome once again to Jackalopes of Fire TV. I'm Chuck. She's Cilla. We're back.
We are back. It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit. It's been over 6 months at least.
It has.
I blame you.
A lot of it is me.
A lot of it's me, but I still blame her.
A lot of changes in life. I've acquired a family.
Yeah, good changes.
Yes.
Positive changes. You're settling down.
Engaged.
Getting hitched, as it were.
Yes.
Got a pre-made family.
Adopting my fiance's daughter, and a new job, back in childcare,
Yep.
school. Good things, but things that haven't necessarily left me much free time.
Right. Plus, y'all have a move coming up. Obviously, that's a little bit stressful.
Yes. But the good thing about this move is it gives us a perfect studio.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like the new space that you've got, and so that's going to be kind of nice, and we'll be able to bang these out a little more frequently.
Yes, we'll be able to do these more often.
JOF TV will be back, baby!
I'm also going to get back to my other podcast project, Rebel Eyes.
That's right.
Which I co-host with my now fiance, Shannon. Shannon's also going to be joining JOF TV in the future, so we'll become a trio.
One of us.
So yeah, lots of exciting things going on in my life right now, and I am so thrilled to have JOF TV back. And in our absence, there has been so much going on.
There really has been.
We couldn't cover everything we've missed if we tried, so we're just going to start with what's current. Right.
Yeah, we're not going to try and go back and go, and then this happened, and then this happened. So, no, we're going to start with the newest, we'll call it lunacy in the comics world.
But the funny thing is, for once, I'm happy with DC and pissed off at Marvel. It feels like Bizarro World.
It feels a little bit backwards.
And we will hit up on what DC's finally doing right in the next episode. But right now, we're going to actually go back to our last mini episode. You discussed it a little bit. I have my own take on it. Spoiler alert for those that don't know, although...
Is there anybody that doesn't know?
The internet kind of released all the spoilers anyway.
Yeah, you know what? That's kind of a dick move, by the way. All the news agencies spoiling that on the day the book came out. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Be that as it may. Spoiler alert, Captain America #1.
That's right. So we're talking about specifically Steve Rogers, Captain America #1. It's the new book that Marvel has just put out, and it's dealing with Steve's reemergence as Captain America, because events happened. He lost his super serum, and he eventually caught up with his real age, which is approximately 90 years old. And so he was an old man just kind of walking the earth. But thanks to some interference from a cosmic cube, he is now a sentient cosmic cube at that. He is now back to the Steve Rogers that we all know and remember, and he has put back on the Captain America suit, although it's been updated. New shield, different costume.
Which I actually like, by the way. The design of it, I kind of like.
I do like the new costume. I don't like the new shield.
No?
No, because I think that Sam should give Steve his round shield back.
I like...
When I heard that he was going to be back, I wanted him to have his round shield back.
I will say that. While I do like the new shield, it does seem like Sam should have traded with him.
Maybe that's what that's a better way of saying it. It's not a bad shield. It's just not Steve's shield.
I can agree with that. I do like the shield. It's not Steve's. I will give you that. If Steve and Sam had swapped shields, that'd have been really cool. Right. Be that as it may, the high points of the design kind of get lost.
Completely, yeah. This is all inconsequential bullshit once you get to the last page of the book. So as you said, there is a little mini episode, and if you haven't listened to it, it's just going to be a little audio cast that we posted shortly before recording this one. So go check that out. I give it a listen, give it your thoughts, and if you haven't read Captain America #1, feel free to find a copy and read it, and then come back and listen to our take on it. But that being said, at this point, spoilers.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra, yeah. So, at the end of the episode, and the whole issue is, I called it an episode, the whole issue is Steve's first mission back as Captain America. He is leading a team of, it's him and Jack Flag and Liberty Bell, I think is, I forget the character's name. I think it's Liberty Bell, but I could be wrong. They're out there fighting the good fight against basically a young Hydra agent and his defenders, who he's got a suicide vest on. He's going to blow up a train full of people, and so Steve's got to go in and stop him, and then. So Steve saves, Steve and Jack and all them, they save everybody except for the bomber, unfortunately. They couldn't rescue him. Steve's kind of broken up about that. They find out that Baron Zemo, dumbest damn character ever, is out there in the world. They find him. They go, okay, we know where he is. Let's go get him. They go to get him. He and Steve go off on this plane fighting each other, and Jack Flag, thinking that he's helping Steve, shows up and takes down the Baron for Steve, basically. And Steve then proceeds to throw him out of the plane. Throws Jack Flag, a hero, out of the plane, seemingly to his death. And says, "Hail Hydra." So what they've done here is revealed that Steve Rogers is a agent of Hydra. He is evidently a sleeper agent, and through some backstory that they tell throughout the issue, they indicate that it may have been that way all along. That Steve has always been a member of Hydra.
That he was indoctrinated into it when he was a child, basically. Right. That his mother was Hydra.
Exactly. His mother was pulled in. Steve's father apparently was very abusive to his mother, and so his mother was pulled in as kind of a safety, a safety net, and Steve would naturally have learned it from her. Is what they're implying. And of course, we've only seen one issue.
Right. Essentially, they're saying he was raised Hydra.
He was raised Hydra. And so, for him to have been fighting Hydra all these years is just him being deep cover agent. Right. The deepest of deep cover agents. 75 years pretending to hate Hydra. And personally, I'm pissed.
And it makes no sense on many, many levels. But the most basic of levels is what it truly represents. As you mentioned in the previous episode, Captain America was created specifically to give people hope against the Nazis.
Right.
Which is essentially what Hydra is.
Right. Hydra is or at least started as a branch of the Nazi party, the Nazi regime.
And it still bears very similar ties to its origin. Right. Enough that, even not knowing Marvel history, I was clearly able to understand that.
Right.
By watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
So, knowing what Hydra is and what Captain America started as and who his creators were, it is offensive on many levels.
Yep.
From another standpoint, I found a post on Facebook talking about how broken up this kid was. His whole room has been done in Captain America. He idolizes Captain America, and this kid has just found out that his hero is evil.
He's a bad guy. He's one of the bad guys.
And what kind of implications does that have for all of the kids that look up to Captain America?
Right. You know, and I get that comic books are written for a vast audience. And so we do have to have, in order to keep the adults reading, we have to have somewhat more grown-up storylines. I get that. But there are still kids reading this.
And there's lines.
Exactly. There is a line, and this one has been obliterated.
I mean, there are certain things that you don't do.
Or at least we thought there were.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I felt like DC got close to that line when back several years ago when Wonder Woman killed.
Right.
That line got approached and very, very narrowly skirted.
Right.
But this crosses that.
I agree. I think it doesn't just cross it. I think it obliterates it completely. It just, blows that line clear out of the water, and this character will no longer be the character that he has always been. This ruins the character, and like I say in my post, it doesn't matter where the story goes from here. It doesn't matter that he, let's say he's a Skrull. This is not really Steve. It's a Skrull pretending to be Steve. That's why he's younger, and the real Steve is on some spaceship. Doesn't matter. Red Skull has brainwashed Steve somehow. Doesn't matter. The fact is that Steve Rogers, and above any other character in comic book history, in my estimation, is the ideal of American sensibilities, and to suddenly make him this sleeper agent for one of the most evil branches of terror in the Marvel Comics universe, and a branch that is analogous to the Nazis. That doesn't make sense, and it's a slap in the face, quite frankly.
So I have two questions for you in regards to this. A, if they had tried to pull this storyline off with, say, it was Tony Stark uttering the phrase "Hail Hydra," would you feel as strongly?
Not even a little bit, because his origins and his backstory are completely different.
And two, let's say the storyline does prove that to turn out that it wasn't really Steve. That still really doesn't change anything?
It really doesn't to me, because no matter what, the way they did it makes it very clear that it is Steve. It shows his backstory, that his mother was pulled in, and
Planet Memories?
That still corrupts Steve, and he's no longer the Steve that he should be.
So even if it turned out that it wasn't Steve, it was some clone, fake, whatever, with planted memories, and the real Steve is still out there,
it would be really hard to accept that as their original intent. And that's the problem. It would be very difficult for me to accept that that was their original intent now, after all this backlash. Because even the creators and the editor are going, we had no idea that it would piss this many people off.
Oh, really?
They are shocked by the outrage and the vitriol. I don't know how they're shocked.
See, I haven't seen that. The last I saw, they were still defending it, saying...
Oh, yeah, they're still defending it.
Oh, they are?
Oh, they're absolutely, 100%. They are saying, y'all are overreacting. But they were amazed by how many people came out of the woodwork over this one. It's the biggest reaction in years.
And I get the distinct impression Chris Evans wasn't too pleased by it.
I would almost guarantee that he's not. And I would bet that he doesn't, that he tries to find a way not to continue this character. He may not have that option.
Yeah.
But I know he's not happy about it.
No, he made a tweet about it that, while not speaking very much about it, said enough. Right.
I didn't read it. Do you know it?
Something of... I know it had the hashtag say it isn't so. Something about Hydra, say it isn't so, or something to that effect. And, of course, now Chuck's looking up the exact tweet.
Yeah, I gotta know. Let's see. Sorry. Bear with us.
But no, I definitely got the feeling Chris Evans isn't pleased. And he is understandably not. I mean, really. He's the pop culture embodiment of Steve right now.
Right, he is
his movie is in theaters right now, breaking records.
Is the current face. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's Hydra. Say it ain't so. Hashtag say it ain't so. That's really all he says.
I think that says enough, though.
Agreed. I think that I don't know that he would have appreciated this.
I don't think he does appreciate this.
Even if they had warned him.
Yeah. And, of course, because people are idiots, you know they're going to start connecting the comic book to the movie.
Yep. When's he going to go Hydra in the movies now?
Yeah. And I don't see Chris Evans playing that very well.
I don't see the writers doing that crap.
No?
The guys that are writing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't see them doing it.
No?
Nope. I think that they will not touch it with a 10-foot pole if they're smart.
Now, speaking of Civil War...
Speaking of Civil War...
Which we've both seen now.
Yes.
What'd you think of it?
I thought it was really good.
Obviously, Civil War spoilers ahead.
Yeah, we're just accidentally, we're going to give some away.
No, not accidentally, nothing. I'm going to talk about the movie.
I thought it was a good movie.
I expected to be... I totally expected to be Team Tony on this one. And when I actually saw the movie, I was shocked that it wasn't Steve going along with the government, that it was Tony going along with the government.
Oh, did you not read Civil War in the... Okay.
I hadn't read the book.
Having read the Civil War comics, I knew which side was going to go which direction. What I do like is that this is not the storyline that they wrote in the books. They couldn't do the same storyline. But they took the emotion and reworked it to fit in their universe, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, I hadn't read the book, so I was going in with just no expectations based on the comic universe.
Right.
I was shocked to see who took what side, and ended up finding myself on Team Steve the whole way through.
Oh yeah, Team Cap all the way.
I thought, and the end after the big reveal with Tony, I thought Tony was way off, because I understand what Bucky did, but it wasn't really him. It was Hydra.
Right.
I understand Tony's anger.
But, yeah, exactly. That's the problem. It's regardless of the reason that it happened, Bucky killed Howard and whatever Tony's mother's name is.
Are we sure it's not Martha?
It might be Martha. Fuck, I don't know. But yeah, the no matter what, that raw emotion of having found out that your parents didn't just have an accident; they were run off the road and then murdered by this super soldier, basically.
By a physical presence that was Bucky, but not really Bucky. It was
a brainwash, but
it was
still...
Hydra. Hydra killed his parents.
Okay, but that gets back to Captain America being brainwashed. You know, if it turns out that this is just a, Captain America brainwash, and Steve's not really like that, it's still going to ruffle a lot of feathers. That's not going to be a good enough answer. And it's not a good enough answer for Tony. He's still... And again,
but
this
also
just happened. He just found out within the last 60 seconds who killed his parents.
But
yes, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
But it also makes sense for Steve to defend Bucky against Tony.
Absolutely.
Because Steve understands that Steve knows who Bucky really is.
Right. You're right.
And even though Tony's a friend,
Bucky is his oldest friend.
Right.
So I
think by the end of the movie, I felt like Tony got that at the very end.
I think so.
When he's sitting at the Avengers headquarters.
I think so.
And he gets that letter. It does set up an interesting place for the new Avengers movie to start.
Right.
Because now we essentially have two teams of Avengers.
For the most part, yeah. And they're going to have to come together to fight the Infinity War. Mm-hmm. Which, we'll start seeing soon.
And I have to ask this. What did you think of the new Peter Parker?
I loved it.
Me too.
I am so happy that they went with a true teenager, not mid-20s trying to play teen, but this is a kid playing a kid.
And I thought he played Peter very well.
Very well. Hot Aunt May, Marissa Tomei.
Isn't Aunt May supposed to be older even when
she's supposed to be way older, but now they've decided to do something a little bit different, and I'm all for it. I like their casting for Aunt May. I like their casting for Peter. The cockiness, the smart aleck Peter Parker that we know from that era in his life, it's perfect. The new suit, the Tony Stark version of his spider suit is fantastic.
I love the suit.
The eyes that they actually mechanically open and close depending on what he's doing. I love that. I love that they explain why he needs the goggles to begin with. Why he can't just be, naked eye. So I think that they laid the groundwork beautifully for what will be Spider-Man Homecoming.
Agreed. I'm still not sold on the younger Aunt May.
Yeah,
I'm going to withhold judgment on that until I actually see the solo Spider-Man film. But as far as Peter goes, love that casting, love the look of the suit, love that Sony and Marvel were able to work something out because Spidey belongs with the Avengers.
I mean, Spider-Man is such a iconic character in the New York area for Marvel. He interacts with every major New York player. The Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Daredevil, Punisher, Blade whenever he comes into town, Deadpool. They interact all the time, even with the X-Men for a time. So it makes sense that he would be back home at Marvel. Yes, Sony has not given up their rights to him. They have worked out a deal, a very cooperative deal, which is amazing. They allowed Spidey to be in this Captain America film. Iron Man, well, at least Tony Stark, is going to be in the in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Chris Evans has expressed it, although prior to this comic book, he expressed interest.
He would love to have a role in it, but at this time they haven't said anything about a need for Steve.
No, but he has publicly said he would love to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's a good plan to keep them together and working on the movie together and make the new franchise, the new Spider-Man franchise, truly successful.
Now, that being said, you said in your last solo episode that you were boycotting all things Marvel.
I am.
Does that include the Sony Marvel.
All things Marvel. X-Men is not even a Marvel property right now. It is a Fox property. But because it is a Marvel IP, intellectual property, even though Marvel doesn't have anything directly to do with X-Men Apocalypse, I'm not going to go see X-Men Apocalypse. And that's a big thing for me. This will be the first X-Men film that I don't see in the theaters. Ever. And that's a big thing for me. So, yes, I'm fully boycotting. And like I say in my cast, I realize that my choice to boycott is my own choice. It has nothing to do with anybody else, and it's not enough to change what is happening. But if everybody who is offended by this does the same thing, then I think that Marvel will get the picture. And that's something I learned that message from Dr. Langley. Dr. Travis Langley, if you remember, if you've been watching our show, you saw us have a discussion with him a couple years back, and discussing his Batman and Psychology book and other things dealing with the comic book industry. And Dr. Langley has been equally vocal about the decision to make Steve Hydra.
Inspirationally so.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been a voice that I think has spoken quite eloquently about it.
I agree.
And one that I have followed and reposted a lot of what he has said.
And he has elected to do the same thing. He is boycotting all the Marvel books. Now,
Cancel
I don't know
all
if
his
he's...
Marvel subscriptions.
Right. I don't know if he's going as crazy as I am with boycotting all Marvel in general. Because, I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not going to watch Age of Apocalypse. I'm not going to buy any Marvel Pops. I was considering starting up the Marvel subscription box that Funko is doing. Not going to do that. Just at all. I'm not going to do any of it until this is resolved.
I'm going to attempt to boycott Marvel.
With one notable exception?
I'm really hoping that they get this all sorted out before Thor 3 comes out.
Before Ragnarok comes out. Because she ain't missing Ragnarok, and I understand.
Loki.
I get it.
But no, as far as the books, I was going to catch up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but
yeah,
not gonna.
Exactly. I'm a full season behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm not going to watch it. I am not going to pay for any more Marvel comic books. Nothing.
I was planning this summer to sit down and watch Daredevil and Jessica Jones, but no, I too am glad I saw Civil War before this happened.
Yeah.
But yeah,
God, could you imagine if they had announced it 2 weeks before Civil War?
Oh God.
All those people getting refunds on their tickets, because I know a lot of people would have boycotted the movie.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that's
So
that's
basically,
what I'm doing.
what this all comes down to is, even though the Marvel Cinematic Universe is still on point and has been and seems to continue to be the best live action choice for comic fans, the book has gone so far astray that it's not even worth it.
Right. I agree.
There are, after what DC did with Flashpoint, New 52, I thought there would be very few things that could happen in the comic book industry that would shock me.
Proved you wrong.
But this is beyond what I ever thought a major publisher would do.
Ever. I mean, I could never in my wildest fantasies would I ever have said that Steve Rogers
would mutter the words Hail Hydra.
Sam Wilson, absolutely. I get that. He's a relatively new character in terms of the history of the books, especially compared to Steve. He's extremely new at being Captain America. And him being a sleeper agent actually sort of would have made sense. Because he infiltrated and became Captain America, the ultimate sleeper agent. Steve's different. Steve should have been left alone.
Agreed.
And that's the thing. I am not saying that a hero can't become the villain. I'm saying
at all.
Because we've seen it happen. DC did it beautifully with Hal Jordan years and years ago, believe it or not. Parallax the storyline of Hal Jordan going crazy and becoming Parallax and essentially trying to destroy the universe actually worked out really well. This is different. This is not just making a hero the villain. This is completely changing the fundamental fabric of 75 years of history.
And not just that, but taking a character that was created to represent a specific thing.
A specific ideal.
A specific ideal in the real world, no less. This wasn't just some fictional character that was fighting some fictional bad guy.
Right.
He was specifically created at a time when, specifically the Jewish people, needed some kind of hope against what was turned out to be, in my opinion, the biggest real evil the world's ever seen.
Yeah.
And so this goes beyond just a comic book. And that's what I'm seeing from a lot of people. Well, it's just a comic book. Get over it. It's not.
It's not just a comic book.
Not with Steve.
Right.
I would rather see Clark Kent turn out to be secretly working for Darkseid than this.
It would be... It would be like finding out all these many years later that Batman, that Bruce Wayne, as a 10-year-old child, or however old he was supposed to have been when his parents got murdered, that Bruce Wayne is the one that pulled the trigger. That he shot his mother and father in cold blood. Had a psychotic break and shot them.
I would accept that better than this.
I don't think I would. I think that's the closest thing that I can come up with to explain, to give a parallel out in the world of one that is equally shocking and dismaying.
I would accept that better because that was still just a fictional event.
True enough.
The Nazis were real. Captain America was created to give hope against a real, true evil.
Right.
There is no other comic character with that kind of history.
That is absolutely true. And I don't dispute that. I'm just saying that that would have been the closest thing I'd come up with.
I too try to think of a DC counterpart, something DC could do to be equally as
I even tried
awful.
to come up with one of the other Marvel counterparts where, one of the other Marvel characters that, what if we did this or whatever. And I can't come up with a single one that would shake the universe so bad.
I can't think of another character in either of the main publishers' arsenal of characters.
Yep.
Just because of Steve's history, because of the reason he was created, because of who created him. It's very shocking, and I can't imagine what the creators would be thinking if they were alive to see this.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they would ever go along with it, and I suspect that they would be speaking out. If they had done this when either Kirby or Simon were still alive, I have to believe that they would have been up in arms about it.
Oh, I agree.
And I haven't heard anything from their estates, from their families, so I don't know what their families think of it. But I can't imagine any of their kids, if they had them, would be happy about this.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Marvel has done something far, not just stupid, but far more offensive.
Offensive, yeah.
Than DC ever could have done. Everything I've ever said about the New 52, and if you've watched past episodes, I've spent years complaining about that. This is so much worse.
So much worse.
And
oh, well.
One panel.
Yep.
One single panel.
Well,
Marvel has
one page. Because it's not just... While the Hail Hydra is bad enough, it is also him throwing Rick Flag out of the plane.
That too.
So while it all comes down to him saying Hail Hydra, Because if he had not said that, then maybe next issue we can go, did he really just throw Rick out? Did Rick catch himself? What's going on here?
Right.
But to have thrown him out with what appears to be the intent to kill him, and then turn around and say, Hail Hydra.
Which is why I say one panel.
Right.
Because throwing him out of the plane, there's so many explanations. Once you see that one panel, those two words coming out of his mouth, that changes everything.
Changes everything. Context and all.
So,
and again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you don't agree with this, that's fine. Your opinion is your opinion, and I respect you for that. If you want to read the book and judge for yourself, please do so. And make your own decision. But I strongly encourage everyone that's watching this, that's listened to the other posts, that has read these news stories, if you are as offended by this as I am and as you are, then I encourage you to do the same thing that we're doing, that Dr. Langley has done, and that many others have already done. Stop buying Marvel products. And if you want to limit it to just the comic books, even that's something. Cut into their bottom dollar and make them wake up and realize, okay, we done fucked up.
Do something to make Marvel realize this was the greatest mistake in the history of comics.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to say that it is. In the vast history of this medium, this is the biggest mistake that any of the publishers could have made.
And I think someday Marvel will look back and realize that in hindsight.
Anyway. Anything else to add?
I think we've said all we can really say about this.
Yeah, it's just repeating at this point.
It is what it is. We've said our piece, and now it's really up to the public to make a decision to make Marvel realize the error.
Exactly. It's up to the public to step up and go, this is not okay. We don't agree with this. You need to change it. And then it's up to Marvel to step up and go, our bad. We fucked up. And fix it. Mm-hmm. Retcon the entire event out.
And apologize.
Make it a bad dream like that one season of Dallas.
Right. This would be a time I would totally go for that plot twist.
And let me say, they need to do this quick. They need to not wait till 6 months down the road. They need to hustle, and the next issue to roll out needs to fix everything. Because obviously they've already completed. There are probably 2 or 3 episodes in already, or 2 or 3 issues in already. So it's going to be hard to pull it back that fast. But 6 months down the road, that's too late, in my opinion.
Agreed. They need to do some rewrites fast.
Yeah, quickly.
So I think that's all we have for this episode. Thank you for watching and sticking with us. Releases may be a little sporadic for a little bit, but
we are going to try to get back on a real schedule, especially once you get settled in to the new place.
We're getting ready to move into my new apartment, which will essentially be our new studio. Once that happens, hopefully we can at least knock out one a month, maybe more if we're lucky. So stick with us. We are coming back.
If you like this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below. Comments are welcome. Try to keep it clean. Well, not clean. Try to keep it respectful. I cuss like a sailor, so I don't care if you cuss at me. But comment down below. Make sure you like it. Subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned, because Jackalopes of Fire TV is not gone. We are back. We're coming back slowly but surely.
And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well at official JOF.
That's right.
Or JOF official.
Shit, I don't know.
Look up Jackalopes of Fire. It's
links in the description
it's there.
below.
Yes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.